Hey, happy Thursday, everybody. It's Glenn hosting Liquid Lunch this week. I'm going to be joined by a couple folks from Pixellot. So I'm going to be joined by Nick Swanson, the technical account manager for Pixellot, and Colby Adamson, the director of account services for Pixellot. So we've got a lot we're going to cover this week. We got a full show. So I'm starting off, I'm keeping Jim's tradition. I am starting off with a nice Lakewood Brewing out of Garland, Texas, has a Mexican lager. It's called Muy Importante. It's a true Mexican lager. It's actually got some orange and lime flavoring in it, and that's how I'm starting my liquid lunch.
Perfect.
So, gentlemen, you didn't bring a liquid lunch this week, huh?
Oh no, I brought a liquid lunch for you. So I've got an Irish coffee.
Okay.
That's how I'm getting started today. I'm on the
Perfect.
West Coast, so it's a little bit earlier, but I figured why not? I'm not sure what Nick brought.
I'm just staying hydrated with some good old water.
You could have just said it was pure vodka, man. All right.
Yeah, come on.
Next time.
All right. So we've added Pixellot to our family. I'm going to let these guys. They have a full deck, so I'm not going to talk too much. So I'm going to let them take it and take you through the products. I think it's an exciting product. I think they're going to. We got a lot of opportunities in this market space, and I know Nick is going to cover a lot of them. So over to you, Nick.
So I'll actually get us started. This is Colby, and thanks for that, Glenn. So if you guys can see up there on the screen, Pixellot right now is producing more hours than anybody else in sports. And the way that we're able to do that is Pixellot's an automated sports production company. So what we do is we automate the production of all sporting events. And you can go ahead and go to slide 2. So what Pixellot's vision is, and just giving you guys a little bit of some background on what Pixellot's doing and why. We're trying to democratize sports, so we want to make it so that all sporting events are covered around the world, not just kind of the tier 1, tier 2 sporting events, NBA, NFL, but we want to make it so that youth sporting events, high school sporting events, lower tier college sporting events that can't be produced today are all produced. And you can go to the next slide. So a little bit about our market. Just there's about 200 million live sporting events that are not broadcast today, and that's really the target market for all of us to kind of go after. And you can go to the next slide now. And there's about 2 million local sports venues that currently have those sporting events that happen. So those are really the venues that Pixellot's camera system that I'll talk about in a second is perfect for. What we want to do is we want to enable all of those venues to be able to be broadcast ready. So in the next slide, you can kind of see why customers need Pixellot, and makes things a little bit easier when you're trying to target what customers Pixellot might be good for. Main thing is when somebody's already producing something and it's got really amateur footage, so they have really low quality cameras, not really great productions, things like that. If it's a TV channel, a lot of times there wasn't the capacity to be able to put on these lower tier sports. Now with OTT networks like the one that Pixellot can provide, that's no longer a limitation. And then obviously money. The marginal cost of doing one of these big productions is way too much for somebody who's just filming a youth sporting event at a gym to be able to do. And so what Pixellot's decided to do is to try to give a low cost, high quality solution for people that requires little to no labor. On the next slide, you can see that Pixellot is now the world's largest producer of live sports. I think that part of being an automated solution is that it allows us to scale out very quickly because we're not reliant on labor. So right now we're at 6,000 high schools and universities around the world, and we're doing, in January this year, we did over 40,000 live events. On the next slide, you can see the type of partners that we go after. So there's a lot of different types of potential customers for Pixellot, and that ranges from leagues and teams, which you can see a long list of at the bottom here, to OTT networks. You can see Flow Sports on there. You see ESPN, we work with ESPN Plus, to production companies. So really it's anybody that's trying to either slim down a production, make it lower cost, make it more efficient, or people that are trying to get productions for the first time, or find things that, or in many cases with the OTT networks, finding ways to create more content because they have the ability to have unlimited content hosted on their site. So for the next section, I'll have Nick take us through a little bit about the product, and then we'll go back and we'll talk a little bit about kind of how to sell it and who to sell it to and how we want to go forward from there.
All right, thanks, Colby. So Pixellot systems are typically a fixed installation where the camera is installed and does not move. We do have a handful of mobile installations where the cameras are shipped from event to stream those games, but that is less common. So a Pixellot system is a camera head and a VPU. Now the VPU is a desktop computer that powers the camera and does the streaming for the camera. So our systems are optimized to run at low bandwidth. So you do not need very fast internet to run these systems. And we also have an adaptive bit rate. And what that means is if the internet speeds drop during a game, we'll simply drop the bit rate so that the stream stays live. Now, after the game is over, we'll replace the streamed version with a locally saved version. That way you always have the highest quality video in your cloud. You can enhance your broadcast with scoreboard graphics, pre-roll videos, and logos in the corner of the video. So if you're looking to generate revenue based on sponsorships by selling ads, then that's a possibility. We can also build an OTT network. So we can build out a web page and mobile app, and you can stream your videos there and then put that content behind a paywall. By default, the Pixellot system will stream to the Pixellot app, but if you're looking to forward your streams to YouTube, Facebook, or over RTMP, then that's also an option. Our back-end management system is all web-based, so you never need to be in front of the system. You can schedule your games, monitor your streams, and monitor the status of your systems all through the web.
I think that's kind of this is one of the things I really want people to understand is that the beauty of your systems is, it's the camera heads, it's the VPU, you set it up once and you walk away from it. So it's not a staffing issue. Like you said, you can monetize it by doing ads, and things like that. So now it starts to become almost an ROI discussion, which I know you're going to get to in a little bit, Colby. But that's the big thing is that people really need to understand is you set it up once and you never have to visit it again. You can work from your home, which is what everybody's doing now, and schedule games and just let it stream.
That's right. Yep, set it and forget it. So next slide, please. So this camera here is what the S1 and the Prime system looks like. It is a 4-lens camera head. Next slide. So up top, you'll see what the lenses are seeing. So all 4 lenses capture the entire field, and if you look closely, you'll see a little bit of overlap between each camera. And what that allows us to do is to stitch the images together into one seamless panorama. Next slide, please. So the video on the left-hand side here shows what's happening behind the scenes. So our system, it's not just tracking groupings of players. It's not just saying most of the players are on the right-hand side, let me look there. It actually has a unique algorithm for each sport. So it's anticipating the player, it's identifying which players are in the action and which players are out of the action, and it'll track accordingly. So for example, in soccer, if a player boots the ball across the field, the system will get ahead of that so that the ball and all the action stays in frames at all times. And the next video shows the 2 streams that are available for each event. So for each game, you'll have the panoramic stream, which is a static angle of the entire court or field. And then you'll also have the tracking as well. So the tracking does the digital zooming and panning to produce that broadcast. Slide, please. So this video is an example of a game that was produced with the S1 system. So in the top left-hand corner, you'll see that we have a scoreboard graphic there. In the top right, we have the logo of the client. You can add your own logos however you see fit. And of course, this was all produced without anybody on site. Slide, please.
And for reference, we should be on slide 13.
Right. So thank you. So the Pixellot product portfolio, the S1 and the S2 are the more cost-effective solutions. The S1 has 4 camera lenses and the S2 has 2 camera lenses. And because of that, the S1 has a slightly higher resolution. But having said that, both of them can stream in NTSC. Now, these are really easy systems to install. I've installed a bunch myself. Typically, the facilities team can install them on their own. And the camera head is weatherproof, but the desktop computer is not. So you just need to find a safe place for the desktop computer. Now, the Prime has all the same features as the S1 and the S2, but it has a higher resolution and a higher frame rate. So it can stream at 50 frames per second or 60 frames per second. And on top of that, it has an SDI output. So if you're looking to feed that video into a switcher and add additional angles, then that's even easier with the Prime system.
Yeah, and I'll talk a little bit about. Thanks, Nick. So with both of these systems, like Glenn said, really the concept is they're fixed installations that you bring to a court or field, and now that court or field is enabled for automatic production. So once it's brought there, it gives the ability to, like Glenn said, completely set it and forget it. You can have automated graphics. If you want to add commentary, you can. It's very easy, but you don't need to, and you can have that entire end-to-end camera one production with automated graphics without having anybody in the loop. So especially in times like this, and we'll get to that a little bit, it's really important for these schools and for these leagues to be able to stream so that when their fans can't be in the stadium, and it's even easier for them when they don't have to send staff members on site to be able to do that. Um, so quickly, a little bit about kind of the target customers, and we'll talk about this later too. But with the S1 and the S2, really what we're looking at is kind of the low end college is our core market for them for it. So D2 and D3 colleges, they don't really need 1080p 60 for even their like high end sports. We pretty much can be at all of the levels of sport for those level of colleges. For D1 colleges, generally at the high end, we're not really going to be able to play with these products, but at the low end, kind of the secondary sports, field hockey, soccer at some of the mid-major colleges, it is going to be a good solution there. And then in the youth space, youth sports organizations, they'll use these exact same systems, but for coaching purposes, just to be able to capture the games, and then also to be able to stream them to players and parents and fans, and multi-sport venues. So there's a big group of venues out there that essentially have 20 basketball courts that want to enable their venues to be able to have a streaming solution. So that's sort of the target market for the S1 and the S2. The Prime is more of a broadcast enabled product. So we can go after D1 colleges, we can go after semi and professional leagues, and most importantly, we can go after production companies. These production companies are all looking for ways to have lower cost productions. And so when they approach and they're looking for something that's going to be able to automate the flow, make it so they only have to send one person on site instead of five, our system is going to enable them to do that.
Yeah, I drove by. So last night I was out and I happened to live in Frisco, drove by FC Dallas's stadium, and outside they have all soccer fields out there. And there are kids out there playing soccer. There were tons of kids playing soccer. Parking lot was full with parents sitting in the car. So parents can't go sit on the field. So this is exactly the type of thing you're talking about, where the youth sports are happening, but they're limiting who can watch. So these are great opportunities for that type of product.
Exactly. So let's go to the next slide, which just gives some pictures of what this looks like out in the field with an installation. So it's a really easy installation. You put the camera up on the wall, or in some cases you bring it on a tripod, but most cases you want to permanently install it because you'll get the most value out of it. And then you run the cables back to the computer and get it connected to power and internet. We tried to make the whole process as simple as possible. So next slide. So one of the sort of unique things about an automated production system is that there's really no need to have anybody be a part of the process on the day of the event. Conceivably, you could go into our scheduling system, you could identify all of the games for your entire season, select which sport it is, select if you want there to be pre-rolls or mid-rolls, select what graphics package you want to be on there. And you could do that at the beginning of the year. And then all of your events on the actual day of the events would just stream automatically without anybody being in the loop. So we have a full management system. It's very easy to use, really intuitive, and it's a big value proposition for us when we're selling it. Next slide. Something we get asked about a lot is monitoring services. So if you're selling to, for example, a venue that has 10 basketball courts, they might want to be able to go into one very easy to use platform to be able to see all 10 systems are working, all 10 systems are plugged in, all 10 systems are currently running, etc. So we built sort of just an easy to use monitoring platform that allows our customers to be able to connect with their systems and just be able to understand what's going on with them. The next slide it's a couple of videos. So just allowing you to see kind of what our graphics package it looks like. So in the first video here, you can see that it's it's an automated graphic that pops up based on when the goal happens. And then in the next video, you can see that we have the ability to not just have kind of basic graphics show on the screen, but we have the ability for kind of full screen graphics, lower third graphics, pretty much anything that a customer might need for their graphics package. So I'm going to move on to slide 18 now. So one of the really cool things that we have that I think sets us apart in the market is the ability to create automatic highlights. So at the end of a basketball game, especially if it's been done automatically, you wouldn't traditionally have somebody there that's cutting up the game and preparing it to be able to share on social media. So what we do is we use computer vision to be able to identify important moments in the game. And with those moments, we group them together into a highlight. So for basketball, we have an automatic condensed game, which is just going to be 100% of all of the made baskets. And then we also create an individual player highlight for all of the different players using computer vision, just looking at the back of their jerseys at their number. So it's a pretty cool product, or a pretty cool system and product that we have there that allows people to be able to create short form content using that automatically produced stuff. And then I think I have an example coming up next of what an automatic condensed game looks like. So a little bit about what sort of support Pixellot offers, both in the sales process and to our customers. So we have solutions technicians that are available to assist in sales process. We can help conduct remote demos, and we can also have kind of those second level, more technical calls. We can make ourselves available, our team here in the US, to be able to take those sales calls and help the distribution process. And then once a sale actually happens, we provide an account manager for our new customers. Training, onboarding, all of that is provided by Pixellot. Remotely, we provide installation support. And then for actual live events, we have 24/7 support. If there's ever a problem, we'll help solve it. We're always going to be available. We're always kind of evolving. Our software continues to get upgraded and new features continue to get released remotely. And that's all provided as part of the standard license. Next slide. So this is just a little bit about kind of the value proposition to people right now, especially during COVID, about how automated video can be important for them. Number one, fan safety. I think that giving people the ability to not have to send fans into the stadium is always huge. Another is athlete safety. A large part of what people have been using our productions for is for monitoring of games, to see if there's been a fight, to see if somebody gets injured. They're always going to have the video to be able to look back on it. I think that most establishments at this point are looking for diversified revenue streams, and having more content provides the ability for those revenue streams to exist. So automating the production of that content is always going to make that process more efficient. And then the other two are kind of self-explanatory, especially the cost savings. Marginally, what we're going to be able to do is significantly decrease the cost per game. And then we can go, I think we can go all the way to the last slide here, so 23. So you can skip the next slide. So this is just a little bit about our pricing. Our pricing is always done with a one-time fee and then an annual license fee that we pay monthly, quarterly, however it's decided with the partner. The Pixellot Prime, which is at the very top end of the market, starts at $14,990. And then you can see that the annual license is around $6K a year, and then it scales down from there all the way to the S2, which is $49.90 at $3,000 a year. And that's sort of the end of the Pixellot product. I hope that this was informative, taught you guys a little bit about automatic production, and that's all we got. So I think it's exciting. We're excited to get to work with you guys and start getting this out to customers.
Yeah, no, it's a great product. I think there's great opportunities. And you guys did it in just about 20 minutes, so that's awesome. Yeah, so obviously you can reach out to anybody at Broadfield if you have questions on this. I'm familiar with the product. The great thing is, we get Nick. They got a great team to help set it up. Demo situations are a little bit different. There's online resources for you folks, and that's really what the client needs to see. I think it's just really what it's done, these PowerPoint slides, some of the video outputs. I think there's some web pages that show some of the ways people have monetized it. So there's lots of resources available to you folks. Again, thank you guys. One quick question: do you guys have a typical, what's the turnaround time on something like this? What's the length of a sale for somebody typically?
Like the length of time to fulfill the order, the length of time like the sales process normally takes.
The sales process. So from initial. Yeah.
It varies. I would say that especially depending on the type of the customer. So if you're dealing with colleges, it can be long, it can be several months. If you're dealing with kind of like these youth organizations or the multi-sport venues, we're talking a couple of weeks. And then in terms of fulfillment, what we're able to do generally is try to get you guys a unit within 2 weeks of order. So
Cool. Well, thank you guys. Thank you, everybody. Great product. We're excited to have it. I know I've already got a couple of deals that have reached out to us. So that's it for Liquid Lunch. Join us next week. I have no idea what the topics are, but cheers and thank you, gentlemen.
Cheers, everybody.
cheers. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Sellers. We are always looking for new dealers. So call us at 1-800-634-5178 or email sales@broadfield.com. You'll like doing business with Broadfield because we make it easy to do business.